we are looking at each other right now. Wait a minute, you're not Jody's wife, are you? Oh, sorry, you look kind of like Jody's wife. No, not Jody's wife, Jody's sister's wife, Michelle. Michelle's wife? We all know what we're talking about, right?
Are you drunk?
No, I don't drink. I don't. No, I don't. So here's the dilemma. If I put Costa up next, you guys will stop talking, which will be awesome.
Yeah.
Then you'll leave for the rest of the show. I know how you roll. Costa's off the stage, you're like, it's over.
But it's smart.
So I'm like, you know, I don't know. Like, I should probably put Kirsch up, but if you talk through him, I'm gonna turn into like that battle, like that He-Man, when He-Man got the two battle arm axes, you know, and then just spun around. So like, you can't, Kirsch is my heart. Like the one time I did shrooms and I had a bad trip, I was looking at my ceiling and I saw Jesus Christ. And in Jesus' eye, he was crying. And the teardrops had lambs and Jason Kirsch. That is literally it. And if that doesn't mean he's gone, then I don't know. Then shrooms don't work. So ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Jason Kirsch. Jesus, Lamb of God.
Baby mama, can we hear it from Gab one more time real quick? I do take away the sins of the world, just so you know. Oh, you know what I'm talking about, right? Exactly. And Nate, again, Nate, you were fucking amazing. Honestly, you were great, man. And just so you know, as the only gay comic here tonight, there is nothing wrong with a little cock in the morning. Just tossing that one out there. Like a fucking python. I'm so happy to be back at the Brillobox because Gab and a group of us did a show at the Rotary Club. Yeah, you can expect that was like, holy shit. And we couldn't swear. We couldn't say a single fucking swear word, curse the entire time. They're like, you just can't curse. I'm like, oh my god, that's like 98% of my material. It's just swear words. Every once in a while I throw in like an if or the, and that's it. It's just swear words, like top to bottom. No, you can't do that. I seriously think I was raised by sailors. I honestly do. I think I was raised by sailors and I drifted on a raft of coconuts to like Ocean City when I was 5 years old, and my parents found me and they just took me home, and that's what it was. Because pirates, I was raised by a group of pirates. That's all. And you know, one of the things that I think is really funny is that we still to this day use the word pirate. Like, have you ever watched CNN and they're like, yesterday morning, a group of pirates took over a Chinese fishing vessel. Do you know what I'm saying? Do you know what I'm saying? I'm always looking, I always swing around to look to see what I'm expecting like the big ship and like the cross and, you know, skull and bones and like fucking Ahab up on the front with like the hat and shit like that. And it's just a bunch of like overly tan guys with like masks on, like they're riding like one of these super fast like locomotion boats across the sea. Nothing. Those are fucking pirates. What are you talking about? At least like photoshopping a parrot or some shit. Those are pirates, motherfuckers. I don't know. I was gonna do all new jokes because a lot of the jokes that I used to do were primarily about being gay. And I just sort of felt like I milked that for all it was worth. And so I thought I would broaden my niche to being gay and epileptic. Because that just, sky's the limit, baby. It really is. And I said that at the Rotary Club, and they all laughed because they thought I was joking about being epileptic. And meanwhile, I was having like a bad night in my hand. I was up there like, my hand would not quit shaking. And I'm like, I'm not this nervous, trust me. I'm just like, I'm ready to take out my front tooth. I absolutely have epilepsy. Like, it's not quite a joke. And I just found out this week, actually, from my doctor that I might be having brain surgery. Woo! Brain surgery, right? And she said to me, so we're sitting there and talking. I'm a little bit thrown by this, as you can imagine at the moment. She leans in and she goes, brain surgery's not really as bad as it sounds. Really? Are you fucking kidding with me? That's like the rabbi saying to the baby at the bris, honey, this isn't going to be nearly as bad as it looks. Seriously, you're golden. cold in Keller. So, it's May. Does everyone know what May is? Masturbation month. It is truly it is honestly masturbation month. Did you know that? Anybody? Yeah, it is actually masturbation month. And I think that's pretty fucking funny. According to studies, as far as men go, the more you masturbate, you can improve the intensity of your ejaculation, which I did not know that. But that also does explain why I was wondering the only room in my entire apartment that had a stucco ceiling was my bedroom. I thought maybe they were like stalactites. I thought maybe they were like fucking leak upstairs or something. I didn't know what the fuck that was. But women masturbating, that's a different story. I don't really know how the pipes work. I'm sorry, you guys. I don't know how they work. I know the general idea of what happens, and I've seen the toys and shit like that, and like the triple D batteries and all that kind of shit. And more power to you. But I don't know. I don't understand the pipes. I don't do the whole vagina thing. One time, and one time only. And honestly, my mom said she almost gave birth to me by herself. And I was drowning, getting out of there ASAP. So I might as well just been born with like a fucking sequins jacket and like sporty jazz hands, because at that point, there was no holding me back. I'm actually not from here. I grew up a couple hours northeast of here, going like up towards State College, but it's in like bumblefuck nowhere, seriously. I always say it's kind of like The Sound of Music meets Deliverance. The hills are alive with the sounds of... My mom, she always says to me, she's like, "You make it sound so hicky up here. You make it sound like big hicks when you tell jokes like that." I said, "Mom, we have a potato princess. Is that any time your town shuts down its main street so that it can pull a flatbed truck through here with an adolescent sitting on a bale of hay and a tiara, and it's named after the main crop? And the only way that you aren't allowed to run for potato princess is if your mother is also your aunt." Baby. She's like, "You know, a lot of people, that's in a lot of towns." I said, "Mom, Granddad was one of 17 children." And she's like, "Well, that happened a lot back then." I said, "You know what they call that now? A mini fucking series." But it's kind of sad, though. I am not 100% proud of where I come from. The KKK is actually, the grand dragon of the KKK is actually in a little town. It's like a stone's throw from my house. Which isn't the best thing to mention to people when you're talking about where you're from. You know, part of it's embarrassing, and part of it was nice having Granddad here. The entire house of Clorox, that's all you smelled when you walked in, Clorox. Oh, come on, you guys.
OCD.
White sheets. I hate when I have to explain a fucking joke, people. I have a new favorite food, wraps. I love wraps. I'm a man on the go. Wraps will do you every time. And I've come to the conclusion there are very few things that you cannot eat in a wrap. And I've made a list for you, and I put them in alphabetical order. Number 1, soup. It's tough to control. Sticky fingers. Sometimes it acts like a funnel. Maybe a piece of corn gets clogged in there. Doesn't work well. Don't try soup in a wrap. Number 2, water. It's kind of the same consistency of soup, but especially if it's water-based, so you're kind of screwing yourself over. You can sort of lump those two together if you feel like it. Pudding, anything that has the consistency of pudding can pretty much be eaten in a wrap, you know, which is actually good because I actually did that late one night. I had nothing in my refrigerator but wraps and pudding, and I made a pudding wrap. It was like a pudding fucking enchilada, and I figured they fried their fucking ice cream, why not make a pudding enchilada, right? So. And maybe it's me, maybe it's because I'm getting older. They say old. And, but little things really get on my nerves. And for instance, I have a friend who has Mexican heritage, and sometimes she'll say little things to me. And recently I've noticed, like the other day I was over at her house and we were talking, we were cooking actually, and she said, "Oh, this is my grandmother's recipe from Mexico." And I just kind of stared at her and I was like, "From where?" And she's like, "Mexico." And I'm like, "You mean Mexico?" And she's like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Well, what are you gonna make?" And she's like, "It's just an old tortilla." And I was like, "Wait a second, 1 second. I'm like, "You're not allowed to do that." She's like, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, "You're not allowed to talk with an accent. That was your grandmother. We're talking 2 fucking generations ago." And she goes, "Well, I'm part of a minority. It's my way of preserving my heritage." I said, "I'm part of a fucking minority too. I don't tell stories like, oh yeah, I went to the picnic the other day with my brother and his girlfriend." And they asked me what I could bring, and I was like, "It doesn't really matter. Whatever." Pulling that shit. One of my very, very dear friends, I was on the phone with him the other day, and he's a total Star Wars dork. And he's like, you know those people that you meet, and they're kind of like, you'd never know they were Star Wars nerds, and then they eventually become good enough friends with them, they invite you over to their house, and they have that back room. You know what I mean? That back room, you walk in, and they're just like, they had shelves like fucking professionally installed, and everything's like in its position, and it's like ready to take you out and all that kind of shit. Oh my god, and this is totally my friend. So I'm on the phone with him the other day, and I can't remember, I tried to do that Chewbacca thing. I was like, I can't do it, some people can do it. And I tried to make the noise, and he's like, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm doing that stupid Chewbacca thing that you always do." And he's like, "You know, a lot of people really don't understand Chewbacca." I thought, oh fuck, I'm in for it now. He said, Chewbacca actually comes from a planet which is entirely inhabited by Wookiees alone, and who actually speak a native form of English. I said, really? I wouldn't know that. And he said, yeah, it's actually very proper English, kind of like what you would hear like in the UK, like tea and crumpets kind of shit. And he said, but if you knew anything about Chewbacca, you'd know that he's unfortunately been, he was born with a speech impediment. Now, I've known a couple people with speech impediments. I even had a lisp when I was little. My nephew has trouble with his R's. But I've seen Star Wars too. And I've listened to Chewbacca speak. And I'm pretty sure if I heard him speaking, I wouldn't be thinking that was a speech impediment. And I definitely wouldn't be giving that motherfucker a laser gun and telling him to cover me, because that is more than some type of retardation going on there. He's had some type of a brain injury. I don't know what the fuck's going on. That is not a speech impediment Chewbacca's got. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. From one person with a brain injury to another. Thank you, Chewbacca. I love you, big hairy piece of shit. Thank you so much. Yeah, I think that's about it for me for tonight. I think I'm just gonna wrap this up because I really want to get Chrissy up here. So, oh, there's Gab.